I'm joined now by Remi Piet from Miami, Florida. He's senior director at America's Market Intelligence. So Remi, how important was this two-day summit on Venezuela, and what do you make of some of the outcomes? They're talking about a migrant database, but really, what more can be done?
I mean, it's very important that we actually seek cooperation, regional cooperation on this issue, because the actually fleeing of Venezuelans is not going to stop anytime soon. I mean, the situation in Venezuela today, with the scarcity of food, with the impossibility to buy products in stores because of the plummeting of the currency, we're talking about 1,000,000% in terms of inflation. We just have now gray and black markets, and no possibility for the population to actually find job or either actually even feed themselves. So therefore, this flow of a population is going to continue over the next weeks and months, and it's essential that we have regional cooperation in a continent that actually has not been known for its capacity to go beyond international borders. I mean, Mercosur, which might be the equivalent in Latin America to the European Union, has never been able to put in place any kind of federal perspective and trying to tackle a big issue or of issues of, let's say, trade or security altogether. So this is right now a large challenge for those countries, and maybe a capacity for those countries to move forward and show they're able to actually tackle an issue altogether. But there's a series of uncertainties in each one of those countries, whether politically or economically.
And we just saw hours ago, Peru declared a health emergency, as Michelle mentioned. These Venezuelans are leaving home when they had no food, no medicine. Could we see, or are we already seeing, a humanitarian crisis in the region?
And we're definitely seeing a humanitarian crisis. I mean, at the frontier between Colombia and Venezuela, we were starting to see some such large refugees camps that, I mean, there was definitely hazards and health hazards in those camps. This is going to be even more important when the population migrate through a region that do not have the basic health infrastructure. When they move into the capital, it's easier maybe to take care of them, but they're crossing borders and going through different regions that do not have hospital, that are actually composed of small villages in many cases, and do not have the basic infrastructure to be able to face any kind of large-scale health hazards indeed.
And we know that Venezuelans have been continually leaving the country for the past year or so. It's already been tough. What has been the urgency we're seeing now? What's different now than before?
I mean, the urgency is really the plummeting of the Venezuelan economy. As I said, like the plan from Maduro for an introduction of new currency doesn't fool anyone. Shop owners or the different people that have access to goods are not willing to sell them because the currency itself doesn't have any value. So we're just going to see a spiraling of the crisis right now in Venezuela, an intensification of this migration flow that is already well beyond the perspective of what happened in the Mediterranean in the last years. We're talking about almost 10% of the Venezuelan population that's already fled, and this should actually increase over the next few weeks. And so the question is to see how will the regional and neighboring countries handle this crisis. Are they going to be able to work together, especially on issues of having a common database, at least to be able to channel this flow of migrants and agree on joint position and policies to accommodate or at least limit the humanitarian crisis that is looming. Now, the good thing is that those populations speak Spanish. They actually are more educated in average than the country where they're arriving. When they're talking about the eastern regions of Ecuador or Peru, they're entrepreneurial, but those are countries that also face that fair challenge of political uncertainty or economic slowdown.
All right, Remi Piet in Miami. Always great to hear your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.